Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Garden of Great Work. Tonight, I have a very special guest. Her name is Marja West. She is a trauma-based mind control deactivator, author, non-guru lineage spiritual teacher, way shower, divine love agent provocateur, medical intuitive, and master energy healing facilitator. And so you're an author. You've written a book called F Wide Open, right?
Yes, sir.
And that is about your journey and whatever. Well, Marja, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited about this. I've been looking forward to this for a while. We spoke last week. I got to know you. Very beautiful person you are. And
thank you. Back at you. Back
so I
at
guess,
you, sweetheart.
yeah, so I guess we could talk about, your journey coming to where you are right now. I mean, you don't have to get into all horrible details about anything like that, but I guess we can kind of just go along and talk about where you're at today and just go from there, whatever you want to talk about, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the journey has been dirty. It's been gritty. It's been fucked up. And I'm very fortunate to have my heart intact, wide open, still capable of loving, still capable of really seeing the good in people, because I could have easily taken myself out many times. So I've had those moments of, putting a baby Glock to my head and thinking, wow, there's no safety on this bitch. It'll go off.
Yeah.
I've also been on the journey where I've gotten myself into some really fucked up situations where I've had to stick a loaded gun in somebody's face and tell them to get the fuck out of my house.
Yeah, you told me that last week. I remember.
Yeah. So I've had these real tussles with real life shit shows that I see in hindsight were really part of the sort of automatic scripting that happens when you're sound asleep in the Matrix, not the movie, but the Matrix, and I always make the distinction that people go, well, what the fuck do you mean by that? So what I mean by that is the world is not the planet. The world is the Matrix. The planet is the true organic quantum field universe. And most humans, unfortunately, are stuck, really spun out because of the world, because of all the automated programs. And these automated programs come from our tribal lineages, our history, the historical pain bodies of humans over the millennia, over this. I like calling it the prison planet because the world is the prison planet. But what's happened for me, and when you get to be my age, I'm over 60.
Wow, you look way younger than that.
Oh, dude, I'll be 62 this year.
Wow.
It's kind of shocking because I see my friends who are my age and they're fucking train wrecks. I mean, they're I'm like, what happened? And they hate me because I don't look all that different from when I was in high school. And that is true. So people think, all right, she must be doing something really weird. She's had work done, blah, 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 blah. But I digress. I didn't do any of that shit. I just feel like when you wake yourself up and you extricate yourself from the Matrix, and you learn what it is to create your own reality, following and being aligned with the natural law credos of doing no harm, especially to yourself, and really focusing in on what you're here to do. We're here to move formless into form, every one of us. We're not here to adhere to these pre-automated scripts in the Matrix and just suffer or fight or fuck shit up just for the sake of fucking shit up because you don't know what to do with your emotions, because that's still part of a program as well. So my journey has been very adversarial. So I was raised by a man-hating psychopath. My father was not in the picture. And so a lot of my own programming and interpersonal relationship dramas was really just having hammered into my psyche that I was a piece of shit, that I didn't deserve anything, that I was just like my father, a big loser, and that men are only after one thing. And for, as a woman, I mean, she just had a mat on, man, that was just, and of course,
so that was kind of like your upbringing was being exposed to that kind of mindset continuously.
Totally. And she wasn't a feminist per se. She was just a man hater.
Yeah.
A humanity hater, like not a nice person.
Right.
And so for me, I escaped, you know, because it got to this point, and I was very, very young when it happened, where I realized this person is not well. I cannot take this person all that seriously. I was terrified of her, but then, you know, I escaped into the dreamland. I escaped into plants and my animals. I spent a lot of time
that's something that I wanted to bring up for the viewers. For the viewers, me and Marja have a very interesting connection to a certain group of plants. I know I've made videos about it. If anybody follows my channel, the nightshade family of plants that we both grow, and I found that just so cool that you were into those plants.
And I have that same book about the Daturas and the you know what I'm talking about. Brugmansias and all of it. So when you showed me that book, I was like going, oh my God, I love book.
Isn't that interesting?
Such a good book.
And then you the scorpions.
The scorpions and the whip scorpions, and I'm in the land of the scorpions and whip scorpions, and they get in my house. The snakes get in my house. I just let them roam. It's like, just don't come near my bed.
That was really cool. We both had that in common, that we had kind of a alliance with these plants, and these plants they're so magnificent, and it's like you just have to live it to understand it. I guess you know what I mean, because some people,
beautiful plants, and people are afraid of them. So when I was living in San Francisco, I had this beautiful area. So my houses were like set in the back in the middle of this block, and so I was away from the street, and I had this beautiful English garden, and I had this giant datura.
That's awesome.
Like, giant. It probably was about 8 feet tall.
Wow.
And so I had
it was a datura, not a brugmansia?
It wasn't no, it was a datura.
Do you know which one was it? Like the datura inoxia, or was it? Did it have the huge white flowers?
Yes, had the huge white flowers. Had the huge white flowers.
That was probably the datura inoxia, the one they call the devil's weed.
Yes. And my neighbors were freaked out because one of them said, that's really poisonous. And I had the giant water bowl for the cats, for my cats, and the other neighborhood cats, for the raccoons. And the skunks. And also the squirrels that would come. So it was this community thing. Everything was cool. You know, people would my clients would come over. I'm petting the skunk, and they're like going, aren't you afraid you're going to get skunked? And I go, nope. Have never been skunked, and neither did they. But my neighbors would freak out and call animal control, saying that, you know, she's got this illegal farm going on here. She's crazy. All these people, they're going to be rabid. And
they're running this little zoo, huh?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's cool. I thought that was so cool. But so you came up with some big challenges, as did myself. I know, you know, I've had my challenges, and they're all different. They're all unique. And it's that journey, I guess, you know, because I guess that journey of truth is not necessarily finding all these alternative media channels. You know what I mean? The truth is
no, especially in the 70s and 80s, there are no alternative media channels. Okay. You know, nothing.
But I guess it's you really got to tune into yourself and find what is true for yourself, not You know, you have to sift through, because there's stuff on both sides that are true. And I mean, it's like you have to do your own unique journey, find out who you are, be a leader, not a follower. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I'm not a good leader. Numerologically, my life path is the 19, which is the sun, the 10, the wheel of fortune, and the 1.
Oh, the wheel of fortune is
so I am just like I'm bossy. I'm really bossy. I'm good at directing.
Yeah.
But don't tell me what to do, you know,
Yeah.
because and so early on, I had many jobs. I've always had like this, I've always wanted my own money. So I'd been working since like I was 12 or,
What's your birthday?
10/21.
October 21?
59. Yeah.
Whoa. You were born. Wow, that's great. But you look so young. You look great for your age.
Thank you. And I've not done any work. But I think part of that too is that, like, when I was in high school, the main thing for all the girls was putting on Johnson's baby oil and getting out in the sun and frying. And I was one of those. I had the hat, and I'm dark to begin with. Hat, the little stupid Japanese umbrella, and people are like, oh God, look at her. What is your problem? You don't even need it. Well, yeah, it's because I knew what was going on. It's like, I'm not going to burn. Yeah. I'm reading a book. That's what I'm going to do, you know? So you got to take care of yourself, basically.
Do you want to talk about how you got into what the book F Wide Open? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So F Wide Open is like this, and there's two more. So you talk about, and congrats, by the way, for finishing up your book today. I mean,
yeah, dude, I'm really happy with that.
Fucking epic, awesome.
So long.
The energy and the focus of that undertaking,
it
is not to be messed with. You can't just blow it off. It's really. It
sucks you in. I was telling you the other night, I'm like, man, I'm just doing this last chapter. It took me like several days just adding stuff in and footnoting or endnoting it and just making sure that everything is perfect before I send it off, you know? And,
oh my God.
I mean, that book took so much of my time, and, you know, there were times it was something I had to do. It was information that humanity needs. They can do whatever they can go through it, whatever. But I think it'll add to the bigger picture. And I think it was just so well written. It was like it was like going into history, you know, going through this whole train of events that is not known, that I kind of bring to light. And it was just very interesting. And
that's so cool. It consumes. Yeah. I know because part of F Wide Open is autobiographical, but it's also a sort of retrospective as well of the journey of my clients without naming specific people. So there were a lot of composite stories, and a lot of these kind of bottom line zingers about life, where and that book took me 10 years to do, because I started it in 2000. Well, the inspiration came, like, I think it was in 2003. I was actually doing a tour of Eastern Europe, and I was teaching my modality, and I was also visiting just these places where they were former trafficking camps, rape camps. And, you know, people don't want to fucking hear that. And, you know, I don't apologize for it, but that shit is real. And so,
I guess me and you have kind of something together, because my book too is kind of like, it's not very nice to know certain things, and it's like, hey, this is life, you know?
This is life. And you can't new age bullshit your way out of it.
No.
You know, it ain't about love and light, you know. So when I talk about certain things. I mean, you know, my
some things are
initial
just down and dirty, and it's very,
they
it's
were like
awful.
going, dude, you can't put this in here. You just can't. So
It's like
now I've just finished the 3rd edition of it, and it's no holds barred. It is full on. I've given up on publishers, and I just put everything back that I wasn't supposed to share. But when you're consumed with that, what it required this recapitulation of every shit show in my life that I had undertaken. And quite often, I know, and it's completely antithetical to what I teach my clients and students, because people who work with me, they know they get to tell their story once, and that's it. I don't want to.
You have to. It's like part of working through it. It's like
yes,
and it's you know, there's stuff about it that's like a horror movie.
Yes,
and it
so,
just it's the way it is.
For me to go back into the underworld and the charnel grounds in Tibetan Buddhism, they call it the charnel grounds of your life, where, you know, everything that's dead and rotting and decaying and fucked up, there it is in your blood. You're on your hands and knees, feel like, oh shit, what the fuck is that? That smells horrible. I had to go there. And I was also raising my last stepson, and in the middle of having this very volatile relationship with his father, who turned out to be a bona fide psychopath who actually targeted me. You know, and to keep your shit together, because during that time I was teaching online, I had my YouTube channel, my first YouTube channel, had all the shit going on, and nobody knew what the fuck was going on. And so, you know, because there's a certain level of privacy that I want to maintain. But it was a juggling act, because most of the times I was juggling stuff, everything was up in the air, and I'm just like, you know, just like, I don't know what the fuck to do, you know, except, I don't know, there were some days where I just literally wanted to sit in a corner with the covers over my head going, you know, I don't want to. And so that whole process, as you know, writing, it's like the shit doesn't magically happen. So you have to sit there and weather the storm. So when I hear writers, oh, it's such a joy and it just flows. Oh, fuck off. No, I don't believe you. I just don't believe you. I think that's bullshit. You know, and I remember signing up. This is so funny. Write your bestseller in 30 days. Like, what? Fuck you. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, you know, if you write, I don't know, just because I've seen certain things that played out, and somebody writes a book in like within like 2 months. I'm like, dude, what is this all about? You know what I mean? How do you write a book in such a short time? Like, you gotta just go through, because sometimes you gotta leave the information, go away from it for a little while, and come back to it, and you see something different, and it's like this process. I remember
it's a very painful process. I mean, I would get stuck, and not stuck necessarily, say, on something grammatical, but stuck in terms of my own trauma, and trying to pull my head out of that cesspool so that I can pull my stuff together and move forward and kind of snap out of it. And so it really was, I was tormented, because I'd have to wake myself up, and I'm going, oh my God, I'm not waking up. This is not working for me. Oh my God. So I would just have to like lay down. I'd have to lay down, cuddle my cats, and, you know, hope that, you know, okay, it'll be better. It'll be better after I take a nap. And sometimes it was, other times it was worse. So, you know, there's no real formula, or there wasn't a real formula. And even now, I think what's happened now is that I have simplified my life so much where I have eliminated all distractions. I don't have shitty relationships. I don't have shitty friendships.
Right.
All the shit show people that were in my life that I was supporting, they're all fucking gone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't pick up the phone. I don't return texts. I'm not very good at that, and people hate me for it.
Yeah,
I don't like whatever.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. Like if I message you, it's like you get back at your own leisure. I don't, it's never something where it's like, where are you? Where are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people get fucking huffy, like, if you I mean, my own boyfriend doesn't do that to me, so that's like really, really good. So we have an understanding about that shit. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be glued to my phone.
Absolutely.
But if I'm in the middle of like you and I, for instance, we've had this exchange over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, great.
And it's been really sweet. I don't feel the pressure, but it's like, when you are in that flow and you're like aligned and you're in your element, that flow, I call it the wave. It is called, in reality transurfing, it's called the wave of fortune. You ride that, you surf it, and divine timing supports you. I mean, it's the coolest fucking thing.
Yeah, it's like the synchronicities, like
exactly.
Having that thing for these plants as well. It was just like, and for the audience, like I was telling her like the other day, all the things that I was grateful for, and that was kind of a cool exchange. It was kind of random too,
because I don't hear a lot of that from my friends, honestly. I hear it, I'm endeavoring to mentor clients and students with that, and allowing them to just kind of like click into it, and when they click into it, it's like all of a sudden I'm getting these barrages of, and this happened and this happened and this happened. That's because you just quantum jumped your lifeline from here to here, and when you do that, where you are here in the true quantum field universe, everything works out because it's taken care of you. Why? Because you intended it.
And we have these sources of power, I call them. Like, for instance, the scorpion for me, the plants, they are like sources of power, like, because we're going to have bad days. We're going to get down in the dumps. There's no avoiding that. There's going to be bad times. It's just part of life. And like, when those occur, you have to kind of counter it somehow. And sometimes I tell people, it's like, sometimes you just have to be miserable for a little bit. Right. And just acknowledge it, let it kind of pass. Don't try to pretend you're happy when you're not. Like, just be like, okay, I'm miserable right now. That's okay. Be miserable for a little time. It's just make sure that you don't stay there.
Exactly. Or get consumed by it. And I've been consumed. I know that when I started my private practice back in the late 80s.
Wow, that was
oh yeah, dude. 19, we're talking 19.
I was born in 83. I was born in 83,
well,
so I was 4 years old.
There you go. So 1987, I started receiving the download, and I was in dreamland. And what was really cool about this download is that shit was going on in my life. Where I had fallen into this very automated script of being a yuppie. Here I am. I'm in my mid-20s. I'm married, and I should have children, and blah, and I need to make money, and I mean, just like, and not thinking about it. But here's the thing: when I was a teenager, I read all sorts of weird shit. I read all kinds of books on magic. I read Carlos Castaneda's work. So
I got his work.
So I knew all about this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, okay, I'm not liking what's going on here. And it became very evident watching the people that were around me that I was friends with and thinking, wow, I don't like her. She's a fucking lying bitch. It's like, ew. Like, what is my problem? Why am I hanging out with these lowlifes? I mean, they look great on paper because they have a lot of money, they have fancy this and that.
The disguise.
The mentality and the integrity was like, it was so like, I was disgusted. I was disgusted. And so I wanted to have these conversations about life and on and on. And then I was what was I doing? So part of me was in the music scene. The other part of me was selling insurance. Oh my God. And I'm a math person. So going to an actuarial, that sounds boring, an actuarial conference. Okay. In Japan, no less. And thinking, oh my God, I am peddling fucking fear. It's all probability and statistics. It's all these different algorithms as to how people are going to die. You know, you have a certain age group, they're into certain things, and this is how they're going to die. And I'm thinking, do I really want to align with this? Like, wow. And so starting to like question things, at that point, I was a super angry vegan. You know, I was into that whole PETA thing, and I just couldn't blah, 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 but I was pregnant. So I basically starved my babies to where they didn't develop properly. You know, I mean, there are consequences to blindly following shit because you have an emotional attachment that is a little kooky, and you got to check yourself. And I did. I started checking myself.
Good. That's
and
good.
It was like, I remember getting up one time, looking at myself in the bathroom mirror and going, if I keep doing this shit, I'm not going to like myself in a year. I know it. And I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't even want to be in my marriage anymore. I didn't want to peddle fear. I didn't want to hang out with a bunch of cokeheads. and it was pretty stark. And then I started having these dreams. So since you studied Carlos Castaneda's work, so the whole thing about dreamers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he talks about the datura.
Yes. Yeah, I'd like to know where that is specifically, because I want to review everything.
I found that very interesting, because it sounded, you know, there were things that correlate, because I did a lot of research into the Nightshade family, their history, all that stuff. So there was a lot of things, and actually my personal relationship with these plants, there are a lot of things that he says that I find to be true. I find that the spirit, it's a woman, you know, or not, I'm sorry, not a woman, it's a female energy.
It's feminine.
Yeah, it's a feminine energy, very powerful one. And I think, she's like a source of power. She's like not like a protector, but a source of power to empower yourself.
Yes,
She
like
aligns you
this
with
magnetic field that allows you, if you're very clear on your intention, that allows you to materialize and manifest and draw to you what it is that you need. So that being said, in these dreams, I just remember thinking, something's got.
What were the dreams actually? I mean, what were the dreams all about?
The dreams were basically a step by step instruction manual for the work that I was going to be doing for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's awesome.
And at that juncture in my life, I had just lost my babies, right? Oh, wow. So what I was doing is I was doing some really intense therapy, and I had this mentor therapist who was gifted. She was present. She knew Carlos Castaneda's work. She was also a Jungian trained psychiatrist. She was awesome. Pearl, that's her name. Pearl, God rest her soul. She passed on to non-physical in 2018, the same year that my longtime assistant passed away. So I got hit recently with a lot of losses. But that having been said, going back to 1987, just before the stock market crashed, that was in October. I had this come to Jesus moment where it's like, you know, I'm being downloaded. And I remember being afraid to tell Pearl about what was going on. And so I had like all these notes.
Yeah.
And I gave them to her. I had like this sack. I gave them to her and I said, I know my handwriting is bad, but maybe you can make heads or tails out of this. And she realized that I was being directed. I was being directed from wherever, you know, the quantum field universe, and inviting me to, let's go over here. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
To do the great work.
Yes. And do the great work. Precisely. And it was, so I tracked these dreams. I had a dream journal. And so what I would do is I would endeavor to decipher. And at that point, I was dabbling in a lot of new agey shit. You know,
we all did that though. There was a point we all did that.
So funny. So channeling, chakras. I did a lot of yoga. So I went ahead and eventually did a bunch of teacher trainings and all that kind of stuff. I'd been a martial artist for many, many, many years.
Oh, that's cool.
I was a dancer, the musician. So, you know, being able to wield my body and to, you know, be able to move freely, it enabled me to like really tune in. This shit is significant. So, and then studying 5-element Chinese medicine, that was another like turning point where it was like, whoa, the Chinese have been doing this for 5,000 plus fucking years. Oh my God. And it just, everything started clicking. And what it was a modality, step-by-step modality, that if you want to clear trauma, number one, you have to wake up. You have to get the fuck out of the matrix. You cannot be part of the world. You have to tune in to the planet, the natural planet, the natural quantum field universe, because the answers and the healing, the elements are all there, such as the plants.
You kind of have to become a hermit in a way.
I am
so good at that too.
Yes, hermit. I am so good at that. And people think I'm antisocial. It's like, no, I'm not antisocial. I have a lot of shit that I want to do, and I can't do it sitting here having bullshit conversation with you about the TV shows that I don't give a shit about, because I don't have a TV and I don't want one. So there you go. Yeah. So that's how it started unfolding. So you not only have to reconnect to the planet and the natural quantum field universe, but you have to maintain a steady level of owning your attention. Because if you don't own your attention, you're fucking sound asleep. And this
like
is
being self-aware, being able to catch yourself and judge being able to like step outside of yourself and say, am I doing this because of this or that? Stuff like that. Yeah.
So that whole discernment.
Yes, that's the word, discernment.
And so once I started like really seeing the sort of the split, I'm like going, wow, the powers that want to be fucking A, man, they figured out how to mesmerize and hypnotize humans into slaves. Because it's that, and people can't help it. They can't help the script. Well, that's just what we do at the city. And I'm just like, wow, okay.
That's just the way things are.
Yeah, that's just the way. No, I don't accept that. So
me neither.
So what happened was Pearl and I went through and deciphered the order, because a lot of the dreams, of course, were not in order. And I do remember when I started noticing these dreams that were happening, to try to consciously direct them, or at least be in them and enter into the state willingly. And so I tried a lot of the practices, and sometimes I was good at it. Most of the times I kind of sucked. So I just kind of kept the notebook and not even bothering to turn on a light, but just writing. And of course I was married at the time. So I'm sure he thought I was just completely losing my fucking mind, because some of it was like really just would put me into a state of this hyper focused place.
I know
guess,
exactly what you're talking about.
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't even put it into words, but it's just
it's like
everything else is tuned out.
It's like you fuse with the earth, almost like you've got this like shield around. I don't know how to describe it. Like the shield around you that's like part of the earth, right?
Yeah.
You're like part of it, and you're drawing influence.
I believe it's our awareness center. It's the center screen where you're not overcome by the outer screen of reality of the matrix. That is the now, what's going on in front of you.
Collective
and
consciousness
you're not in your head. You're not in your head tripping out over what you're witnessing. Instead, you're in this awakened space where you are consciously directing your attention toward something not outside of you, that is within you, that is being expressed.
Yep. And I think that's an important thing to, explain. I mean, for me, I know it's kind of like a controversial thing, but to me, I'm kind of like, that inner work cannot come from anywhere else. Like, you can't depend on, psychedelics or a chemical or this or that. It's like, this comes from within you.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I tell people, because I dated someone very briefly who 5 o'clock, man, I hit a pot, and then a hit of what is it's an alcoholic liqueur. I can't remember.
Does it have wormwood in it?
Yes.
I know what that's.
Absinthe.
Absinthe, yeah.
Absinthe. So he did that. He did the pot and did the absinthe to feel the magic. And I lost so much respect for him. I'm like going, dude, if you can't access the magic on your own.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and it's like a point that I make. It's like, I'm not saying you can't do that or anything. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm just saying, like, to tune into yourself, it's somewhere within. It's no external place. I mean, you can use those
not this
for
external
certain things.
dependency.
You can use those for certain things, but don't depend on it to
every day.
You.
The witch, I called it the early witching hour, 5 p.m. I mean, like clockwork. Like, hey, dude, whatever. Yeah, it was kind of a bummer, because I really
there's a lot of manipulation that can happen when you like a lot of those communities. I mean, a lot of them kind of like control. It's like they get people, because people turn to those things because they feel lost.
Yes.
And
then there's that sense of belonging gets triggered. You have to do the great work, and you have to integrate your masculine and feminine within. Otherwise, you're going to be looking for mommy and daddy through a community, a conscious community. Oh, fuck off with the conscious community.
And there'll be all these people.
Those communities are conscious, I assure you.
And then there are like all these people that manipulate, and then there's people with very bad intentions as well. There's that.
Absolutely. They're run by sociopaths.
Yeah, I agree with you. And me and you, we're both on Mark Passier's network, the One Great Work Network. You are one of my colleagues.
Yay.
So you contribute to that as well. I know I'm getting back into that because I finished the book. I have so much other things now that I can focus on, and I'm going to get back to
I've got a whole bunch that are listed to upload.
And you're just putting out. You're putting out video after video, right?
I have a 2 video per week schedule.
Wow.
That I haven't fucked it up yet, but I'm learning. I'm so low tech. When in my old channel, I had Sabina, my assistant, she's got a master's degree in computer science. She's techie, blah, blah. I mean, just on it. So she would come to America, or I would go to France, and we would record like 100, 200. She'd splice them up. She'd do all this kind of stuff. She'd do my hair and makeup, and I'd wear couture, so whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't have that in. I've got this, I think the iPhone 6. I hit record and I upload it onto the YouTube. I do not edit. If I fuck up, it's like, okay, I fucked it up. It happens.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I'm getting right back into that now, so I can start putting out a lot of stuff now. It's like I'm just so glad to have this book just done, and that took so much of my time, so much of my time. and doing all those German translations and all that stuff.
Oh my God. When I read that, I thought, and believe me, once upon a time when I was younger, I was fluent in German.
That's awesome.
Well, but here's the thing is that when you don't use it and you're not there for long periods of time, it just kind of goes by the wayside. But it's interesting. My first introduction to reality transurfing was a German translation of the Russian version, which is the original version. So here I am. I'm just trying, and it's bad. It's so bad. So me going from Russian to German to an English and me translating, I'm like going, wait, what? Like, what does that mean? Like, it sounded like nonsense, but then it so aligned with so much of Carlos Castaneda's work that you got a really good perspective and framework through which you can connect the dots, because that's part of it. That's part of the great work, is connecting the dots.
Yeah, and adding that magic that you hold within, adding your original way to contribute, and you add to that, in a way that is more show people that morals are something that hold up they're like the foundation of this world. I mean, it's very simple, his truth is usually very simple. It's like, doing what is right and not being a dick.
Choosing to not be a dick. And
what I mean by that is not setting out to hurt people. I mean, you can be kind of a dick about things that when it comes to that, and you need to kind of wake some, I don't know, you know what I mean?
No, it's true. I've told people, I'm not a bitch, but I can be a real asshole. I can be a real asshole. I have to own it. I catch myself sometimes and I'm like, wow, did you really have to go there? It's like, yeah, I did. I went there, point taken.
I started my channel in July, and that was really cool. And you know what sparked that channel was actually Mark Passio. He sparked within me because, and it's not like I wasn't doing anything. I was writing my book all that time, so it's not like I was doing nothing. I was very hard at work, but because I remember saying I really want to try to get into the natural law and to start contributing to that, because that is very, very important right now. I did my book. That was a very big project, but I was listening to him once, and I don't really listen to a lot of things much, but for whatever reason that day I was listening to him, and he was yelling, and for me, I'm the kind of person that doesn't bother me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it doesn't bother me either, because I've gotten yelled at. I've been called every name in the book. So I'm just like, so I hear where you're going, though.
Yeah, and so I was kind of like, you know what? I think I need to start something, because I have so much I can add, going through just my story, and then going to jail, and all these books I have behind me. I know a lot, and I've been researching for a long time, and I just felt like, you know what? I have way too much to contribute to not start doing something in this area.
That's so cool.
And then it was one day, and I had broken up with somebody, a few months before that or whatever. Just things were going. I was going through a tough time at that point, but I was like, all right, I got to pick myself up.
Yeah.
And I got to start doing this work. And I started doing that work. I put out video after video. It was articles. So cool. Articles, and this is what I do. I write an article and I do a video to accompany the article.
And that's really good. That's so awesome, because that's kind of been my pattern as well. And then all of a sudden, it's like you get into this rhythm. It's a natural rhythm. And I feel like that's what's happened for me. Whereas I think with my old channel, I was trying to do way too much. And I fortunately, I had a staff that helped me do that. But I don't want to go there anymore. I don't wear couture every day anymore. I don't. I don't wear, I mostly wear no makeup for 4 days out of the week now, because I just have way too much writing to do. So the whole thing, it's an ordeal. I mean, anybody that tells me, I just take a few minutes. Oh, you're lying. Shut up. You're lying. It takes time. It takes time. And I don't even take that much time. But there are other priorities.
Right.
And I know for me, and you talk about the whole thing, because I know in Castaneda's work, there is a lot of just the sort of flow of not pushing up against shit. And in law of attraction, it's the same thing. The art of allowing, the law of allowing. And I know for me, and just kind of like picking up a thread that I was going through, where I was just like pushing up against them and getting super pissed, like staying angry about the traffickers, staying angry about the Satanists, staying angry about the left, right, center paradigm, staying angry about the shitstorm, staying angry about all this shit. And I did it for 20 plus years.
Wow.
and I'm raising children. I have business and I'm doing this. And then what ended up happening is that I would come to this crescendo where all of a sudden my shit was getting wrecked because I had been pushing up against stuff. You can only push up against shit for so long. And then there is this excess potential energy and the balancing forces come in and wreck your shit. It happened in 2006 and then it happened again in 2015. And 2015 was probably the worst. In 2006, I ended up losing a whole bunch of money that I had been working toward and saving up, and went up against the shitstorm, because we can, and it's fake and there's no money. It's like, yeah, okay, dude, there are consequences to doing that shit. Okay.
Yeah.
And utilizing the fake law of attraction to, okay, we're just gonna do this, but there is that flavor of this. Fuck the system. Anything like this, you're asking for it. It's an invite. It's like, oh, bend me over. It's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. And I knew better. So my shit got wrecked. And of course, there's the whole downturn of what happened. And then in 2015, all of the stuff that I was outing for the book, and it's changed quite a lot, but it's like, you think you're doing it for noble reasons, that it's and Marcus said it, the moral obligation. I go dramatic. Oh, my moral fucking obligation. It's like, fuck it. No, I don't have a moral obligation to it. And it was that moral obligation that caused me to get on the crosshairs of all these low vibe entity motherfuckers, the low vibe invisible techie keyboard warlords that came after my shit. So my YouTube channel went down. I mean, we're talking 8.5 years of content.
Wow.
I mean,
they just shut people down left and right.
Like you never existed. My website, my membership website. And you build it so that you're generating an income, and depending on that, because you live in California and the Bay Area, that shit's not for free, and a lot of my work is pro bono. So it's like, and it's level, it's gone. It's like gone.
That happened. I know a lot of people that their channel was just one day, I did this, I did some interviews with Victorus Libertas about my biowarfare research, and that was a big interview. It was getting thousands of views, and then all of a sudden, not too down the line a little bit, they just the channel is just taken off. All these people, I know a person whose channel got taken down. He was doing fitness. It was like, what is going on here?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and my channel is like really super small, so and it's so funny because when this whole shit show of that M1st C0ntr0l happened, I did a video on immune system and started talking about vitamin C. I had a drawing about the vitamin C warrior killing a virus. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
I have a strike against my channel because of that. They took it down. They said, I can't practice medicine.
Oh yeah, because they say you're giving medical advice, right?
Like what?
That's insane. That is insane.
I'm citing Linus Pauling and all this kind of shit. No, apparently you can't do that. So I have a copy. I have a strike, and then I have a copyright strike for some music. I don't remember what it was. It's like
I get
whatever.
I put music on all of my channel. Actually, it says it every time I publish a video. It says copyright claim, but I just keep publishing. It's like I like to put music at the end of my videos because
see, I haven't done that in a hot minute. And it's funny because in the old channel, I also had I had a whole music thing because I've been a musician all my life.
Are you a singer?
I do it all.
Oh wow,
so
that's amazing.
Singing, playing keyboards, playing the piano, playing bass, playing guitar, playing drums, percussion, the whole and the harmonium and all kinds of like weird other things. I'm totally in it. The violin, totally into it. But I set music on my own videos, my own music. I would get copyright strikes. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? I own the copyrights. And so
there's probably,
had to, they had a form, you'd put in your ASCAP or your BMI. I mean, just like what in, crazy.
No, I just, for me, it's like, I like to put the music that I listen to into my videos because it's like because that music is like what fuels me to do the great work. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like my original addition to it. It's like this music is like what helps me. And I always
feel kind of Tree of Eternity.
Oh, Trees of Eternity. They're amazing. That singer, she died of cancer in 2016.
It's so sad.
Yeah, but she had such an amazing voice. That album came out after she died. And the whole album from start to finish is just beautiful.
I'm in the middle of it. So thank you.
My favorite song, I think, is called The Passage.
Okay, The Passage.
Yeah. I just found them because like this year I was like, man, I realized that I had been recycling the same music for like decades. I'm like, man, why don't I go find some other stuff to listen to? I've been listening to this for how long now? And I'm like, yeah, it was a time I got into all sorts of different kind of metal and I found Trees of Eternity. And I like that kind of stuff, definitely. That is, they're from Finland. She was born in South Africa or something. Very beautiful voice, probably a beautiful person as well. It's very sad that, that happened, but
she's gorgeous.
For some reason, I was like, I bet you would like this a lot. So I said,
I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
Music it's been one of my escapes. So the plants.
Me too.
The plants, the animals, and so music.
It's like it's like recharging you.
Yes, very much so. And so I've been with quite a number of musicians. I mean, not that much. I've been a serial monogamous. So what the hell does that mean anyway?
Yeah.
But music is so important, and one of the really cool things about my guy now is that our first date was a motorcycle ride last year during the summer.
Okay.
And it's funny because he's 49 days older than me. He's age appropriate, which is
Are you a Scorpio? Is there
shocking?
Are you a Scorpio?
So he's September. He's 49 days. So September, early September.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we grew up around the same era. We listened to similar music. And one of the things that I love on the piano, and I played violin. So I was totally into Jean-Luc Ponty, and who's a French jazz violinist, or it's not really jazz, it's more whatever he plays. Yeah. And it's crazy good. So he had just bought a piano. And I'm like all nervous because this is the first time I've like dated in like, long ass time. long ass time. You know, I mean, I kind of miss my 50s as far as dating goes.
Yeah.
You know, being with a psychopath and having all of that, you sort of, anyways, drama.
Oh yeah, and you gotta, you gotta.
I'm sitting at the piano and I play this. I play this, and he knows it, which is like, it just blows my mind. I'm just like going, nobody knows Jean-Luc Ponty. Nobody knows.
But he did.
This. But he did. So that was a good sign. You know.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Really.
Thank you. Thank you. And he's totally into the plants as well. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You got to align with, you know, you got to be careful. It's like, for me, I'm very selective with, I don't just, you know, I'm single right now. It's like, I don't just settle with somebody. I'm very selective, and
you have to be.
Yes, you do. And it's okay to be alone sometimes. You have to get, that's one
thing
I tell people.
It's alone like, most of the time.
It's like, I get it that, you know, it's not always fun to be alone, but you have to learn how to sit with yourself. And that was one thing that I realized when I was in jail, that a lot of people had a lot of trouble with that, because they're, you know, they're locked up and they're just kind of feeling stuck inside themselves, having to, you know, face all these monsters.
And that is sound asleep inside yourself. You know, it's not an application of anything good.
There was one time I was, you know, I went to this, it was like a jail, but it was like Bridgewater State Hospital. It wasn't a hospital by any means, but there was a time where we had to lock in, and there was some kid who just came in, and he'd going, "I want my mommy."
Oh no!
And he was like,
"It's the last thing I would want."
Yeah, no. It was like at nighttime, and you know, I was all messed up on drugs, and that's why I went there. You know, because just I'm not gonna get into that right now.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, he was kind of like one of those kind of gangster types of people, and he was. But when we locked in, it was like, you know, it all came out. It was like, "I want my mommy."
Oh God! Oh God! Yeah, that would be a horrible, horrible thing for me to say. Yeah, I would never go there.
Yeah, people would really kind of, you could see how scared they were to be with themselves, you know, like to be inside themselves. And that was something that I had to work out. It was like how to sit with myself, I mean, in the beginning, it was like, I just watched the clock and just my mind would race to such an extent that it would just exhaust me.
Oh, wow.
And so finally, after I got settled in for a while, I was like, all right, I'm not going anywhere. So let's just try to thumb this out. And I actually wrote to the Theosophical Society, because I was like, can you send me some stuff to read? I'm really bored, because I didn't even know them or anything. I just remember all that stuff was kind of interesting to me. And I was like, maybe I could just, you know, maybe it was fun writing to people. I don't know. It was just a thing we did in jail, you know? And so I wrote to them, and they write back, and they're like, we have courses for prisoners and stuff.
Sweet.
And I'm like, all right, yeah, sign me up. And so they would send me these things. I think the first course I did was about the Theosophical Society. But the second one I did was, you know, the important one. It was called As a Man Thinketh. And it was like learning all that natural law stuff.
Wow.
I mean, all the occult organizations kind of teach that as like a prerequisite. You know what I mean? And they're different variations of it.
Yes.
But in the end, universal truth, I call it. It's like timeless wisdom. No matter what day and age we're in, this is always going to be, you know, true. It's natural law principles. So I started to learn that stuff when I was in there, and I didn't even know about like Mark Passio's work or anything until much later. But, you know, I would do these essays. It would send me a little chapter talking about, you know, just general things. I remember the first one was talking about how your mind is like a garden, how, you know, your thoughts, you have to kind of weed out the bad ones and kind of produce the good. It was kind of hitting on that thought, action, circumstance type of thing, right?
Yes.
And so I would do these long essays. At first the first one I did really quick, and they're like, you might want to take some more time and think it through a little more. I'm like, oh, I see what you mean. So I would do these long essays on each question. And it was like working out all that stuff with myself, learning.
That is so cool. Yeah.
And that's when I started to have those dreams about the plant. the plant would take me to this garden full of these plants, the daturas, all that stuff, belladonna. And that's when I got the call, and that's when I got that book on there was a library down there, and I went down there and they had that book on poisonous plants, and there was
Oh
all this
my
stuff,
God, that's so cool.
and I would go down there and I would research, and I got myself, into the habit of reading. That was what I did. I got all these books, most of them, the ones you see behind me, a lot of them I got in jail. We were able to order books on Amazon. And I would just, I would read like a madman. At first, it was really hard because I was all messed up, and I would have to reread something like over and over. But I got myself into the habit of reading. And that's what I did. I just read, far and wide too. Books about psychology, books about the occult, books about, a lot of conspiracy stuff. And then, books just all over the place.
So cool.
And then you kind of weave through everything. You have to get to know the world for yourself, right?
Yes. And then incorporate and integrate all of that
into your life. Yeah. Like coming, into alignment with who you are. And what I notice is that truth is oftentimes very obscure. It's like, wow, this kind of thing that I'm finding doesn't go match up with any of this stuff. It's like, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
So, it was a very long journey. I did a lot of work on myself. I also, realized the hard way sometimes that you don't just work yourself up to a point where you're okay and you just, okay, I have no more work to do. Because when that happens.
No, it's not a one-off event. It's ongoing.
You got to continuously, keep yourself up to date. And that is one of the important lessons. I mean, I didn't do, like fall off and do all this nonsense or anything, but I just kind of got lazy with things, and it affected my relationships. And I just kind of realized, hey, I got to get back on track here. Yeah. And that was a lesson I learned. But it's funny. It's like ironic. It was in jail where I kind of like learned how to, write nonfiction just by reading the books and looking how they put all the end notes in the back and stuff.
Exactly.
And then I wrote my book, and it was like, wow, it's so cool how it was like I got my own education in there. Yeah.
You turned it around and created advantage after advantage after advantage after advantage and received the benefits.
Right.
I mean, it's very, very, very powerful to be able to live from that. And that's basically what I've always done too. It's like, you too.
This
is a shit show. What's the good stuff? And I would make a list of all the really good stuff. And that's one of the things that I learned from Pearl.
That's what I did with you the other night when I was telling you all the things I was grateful for.
List the benefits.
So you help people as well, don't you?
I do. I have a private practice.
Yeah. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So my private practice is a lot of hand holding. So the majority of the work is pro bono. So
and I commend you for that. That is
I have a list of people who are on the waiting list for pro bono.
Because didn't we talk the other night and say, it's those people that don't have anything that really need kind of the help the most.
That really need it. They're the ones that really need it. I have various programs for people, like for women who are surviving NSP abuse, narcissist, sociopath, psychopathic abuse. Right. So I've got a program for that. I also have a number of practitioner programs to teach my trauma deactivation work.
That's good.
I do online courses and that sort of thing. So that's how I am able to support myself and support the pro bono work, which is the majority of the work that I do. But I can't not do it. I know a lot of entrepreneurs say, you're a bad businesswoman. It's like,
but people need help. It's like people really need help.
Yeah. And there's always, I'm always provided for. So I don't live ostentatiously. I've traveled a lot. over my life. I've made tons of money,
Yeah.
done the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's always gone back to the work. It's gone back to the work. It's gone back to, paying for the you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And there's the world is suffering, and there's a lot of suffering going on. And it's like, we've kind of got to do our part. It's like doing things just because it's right. It's like you find a way to support yourself, right? But you gotta help too. Like
I can't. I'm better though, because like I said, I've eliminated all my shitty, low vibe friendships, acquaintances, whatever. You want
to align with the real, the people that are genuine and real.
Exactly. So and social media, has been like me scheduling shit, it's a dream come true, man, because I don't have to sit there and maintain any of that. I don't have time to do that. And when Sabina was around, she was the one that was like arguing with people, because that was her role. So people thought it was me, but no, they were arguing with Sabina, who was French, a smart ass, a total anarchist. And so she would just like get into these full-on kind of things. And every now and then she'd take a screenshot and go, look what I said, just so that if somebody comes after you, this is what I said. I'm like, girl, wow.
I'm not familiar with this person. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what's her name, Sabina?
Sabina. So she was my longtime assistant who did all my online stuff. She did all my everything.
Okay.
She deciphered my notes and put it into a Word document.
That's cool.
So she's the one that did that, and she passed away.
Oh, that sucks.
In 2018. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You were talking about her earlier. And so I guess, I don't know how long you want to go. We're at an hour and 23 minutes. But because like I know that if sometimes I'll just go on for 3 hours or whatever. I mean, we can keep going. We can keep going, and maybe the 2-hour mark or whatever. Okay.
All right. Sounds
fine.
good.
I try to do that just so people don't feel like, I try to set a limit so people don't feel like they, I don't know, like if somebody wants to go and they feel like they don't have to, I don't know.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm very, I can talk, man.
Yeah, me and you, we get along very well.
And we have a really good rapport. So it's good.
You're an awesome person. It's like, wow, this is a breath of fresh air to meet somebody like this, and a remarkable person. Very, you're how old now? 62?
61. I'm 61. I'll be 62 in October.
But you look like, and you're in your 30s or whatever.
It's very deceiving. And at
least it's good. I mean,
I'm very fortunate.
Yeah.
I'm really, really fortunate. Like, I can't believe, like half the time I'm like going, how did I swing this? But I realized, I think it's because, honestly, I spend more time in my center screen than I am in the matrix. And people get confused. Well, are you leaving the matrix? No. What waltzes in and out of the matrix is not your body. It's your awareness, your attention center. And when you're in your attention center, you're not subject to all of the scripts and the automated programs and the shit shows.
Yes.
Like, I don't pay attention to it. I know one time I think it was on one of Mark's Facebook things, Leah had posted something. And of course, I know that anything that gets posted there, Mark approves of. So anyway, so it was my holiday video that came out, and the title is "Fuck My Life, It's the Holidays Again." I hate the holidays. Okay? I don't go there. I don't do the Hallmark thing. It fucking bugs shit out of me. But I felt like I needed to do it only because I was just kind of like, just kind of exploring some things. And this dude saw the post and fucking went off and was so offended because I related a story that had happened in France years ago, where I got freaked out. I ended up running out of the event
Right.
in high heels, and it was fucking freezing. And I started crying, and one of my false eyelashes came off.
Oh
He
man.
was so offended because I mean, just basically kind of making reference that I'm some kind of fucking bimbo, and I'm not talking about the great work of Goobermans being slavery. I'm like going, what? Like, whatever, dude. And that's part of the thing, is that the great work is not Gooberman, it's slavery. That's one little tiny, infinitesimally small facet of it. The great work is being cool with yourself so you can check how offended you are about somebody relating a holiday nightmare and being frozen, your feet hurt, and crying so much that a false eyelash.
I don't understand why. What was the?
No, he was bent. He was totally bent that I had no business having my video on this page. I mean, it was so dumb.
What? Was it even a real person? Because I know that they have
Who knows?
Because they have these bots that they set up. I mean, I've read about this. And there's like this big thing where companies will buy bots, and if anything goes against what anybody says something, there's this bot that comes and kind of. Yeah. I read about it, and
it might have been. I mean, the guy was an asshole. A total asshole. And I was gonna like, whatever, you know, and Leah's going, well, did you watch the video in its entirety? Blah, 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 blah. And the guy was so offended because I was not doing the great work. And I'm like going, oh, fuck off.
I don't know. I think there's, you know, probably bots or just people that come in to just kind of cause chaos and try to ruin what we're doing and ruin the ultimate picture, the greater work that we're doing, you know? And
whatever. You know? That's what I said. It's like, okay, whatever. All right.
You're doing you're adding, it's like your original, the part of you, that inner self that's non-physical, is like this force that you add to the great work. And it's like there's so much more to it than that little part. That's true. And I can totally agree with you there. I mean, it's infinite in scope if you really think about it.
Absolutely. Because when you exit the matrix and you decide the world I want to live in is actually the natural planet, that quantum field universe. Yeah. It's like, it's huge. It's huge.
And when you are aligned with it, it's like, there are no words to describe the way you just feel. You feel it. It's like through your heart that, you know, that you feel you're in tune with who you are. Like I tell people, my plants, they didn't give me anything that I don't have. They just kind of helped me tune into that intuition.
Yes.
Like down here in my gut and, you know, the heart.
Yes. And that's part of, you know, what I call heart, mind, body, soul coordination. Yeah. And you can only get that coordination owning your attention, you know, and not being overwhelmed by the shit show in the Matrix, because, you know, the shit show in the Matrix, it's been going on for millennia. And
then in the process for me, it's like I had my plants, those were one of my allies. And then this year, after I started the Garden of Great Work, I got the scorpion thing that came into my life. And a lot of people are familiar with it if they saw my video, but I had this dream about an emperor scorpion. I was always afraid of scorpions, you know what I mean? So I was always like, because they're brutal looking. They can fuck you up.
They're very unique.
But they're actually really like not docile, but calm. People pick them up and stuff. And I remember years ago, this girl, we went to some girl's house. It was when I was doing really bad, but we went to this girl's house and she had scorpions and tarantulas crawling on her arm. And I was like,
nice.
That's kind of cool, you know? Even though I was a little, you know, kind of afraid, I was like, wow, the scorpion is just kind of not even bothered by it. And I was like, that's kind of really cool. It kind of made me think about them in a different way. And that was years ago. And then this year I had that dream about the emperor scorpion. And then it came
And
into
then
my life. Yeah.
Kali Ma shows up, you know, how
Yes,
fun.
yes, yeah. And it was just, yeah. And I met this person from the Mauritius Islands. Do you know where that is? It's off the coast of Africa.
Cool.
And yeah, because he was an initiate of, Kali, and I kind of, we became friends kind of, and I help him with English. He's learning English. Like
Wow.
he'll send me some sentences and ask me if this is correct grammar. I'll say, yeah, that's not. I'll help him out. I don't expect anything back, but I help him out. And he tells me things about, because I was interested in Kali, the whole, the goddess Kali, and
Yes.
I like to learn from him. He tells me I do some of the chants with the mala beads. And it's like
Cool.
you find things for yourself. Nobody really pushes it on you. It's like when you're tuned into that synchronicity kind of thing, and things
Yeah.
happen in that serendipitous kind of way,
Yeah.
right?
There's a flow. There's
Yes.
a flow in the quantum field universe
Mm-hmm.
where you have all these
Yeah,
synchronistic.
these things
I
come
mean,
into your life too.
it's cool. It's
And it's
way
like
cool.
when the, for the scorpion anyway, it was like it became a symbol for me, and I did all this research on it. It's been in its form for millions of years, so it was like a symbol of timeless wisdom, and also self-ownership, because it likes
Yes.
to stay by itself a lot and
Yeah,
do its own
yeah.
thing.
It's a hermit.
Yeah, and it goes into the dirt. It's like, how do you sit there and stare at dirt for weeks? You know what I mean? It must be meditating. That's what I come to the conclusion.
Meditating or
Yeah.
by location. I mean, who knows?
That's what I'm saying. They're very patient. They're just like the most patient little creatures I have ever seen. And it kind of helps me tune into that patience. Like, all right, stop being so jumpy and wanting things to happen right away. It's
Yeah.
like a scorpion does what it wants. It's not going to come out when you want it to. It's
Yeah.
going to just.
If it's not its idea, it ain't a good idea. I mean, it's kind of like herding cats. You can't really herd a cat.
Yeah.
It's gonna do what it's gonna do.
But it was like, for me, it was like a teacher kind of, like I'm learning from
Beautiful
nature. That's
Yeah.
and that's what you were talking
Yeah.
about, tuning into.
I think that's so crucial
Yeah.
to be outside. So being
Right.
outside during
Definitely.
my upbringing was it was a vacation
Yeah.
from the war zone
Yeah.
of this really unhappy person. I mean, my mother was so unhappy, like, whoa,
Yeah.
like I couldn't wait to get the fuck away from her. And then her immersion into the television. I mean, one of the first acts of kindness that I think I did toward her was
Right.
unplug the TV. It's like, let's just, and that made it worse because I was disrupting. It's like, oh, she had a pattern disrupt, didn't like it that it came from a 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I think one of my greatest teachers was a fucking 4-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not about age. It's really
sometimes
about
teachers.
content.
Sometimes you can learn things from people that anybody can teach you something. Even the dumbest person in the world, you can learn something from. And but yeah, it goes back. It's like tuning into nature. It's like a lot of things I will look at, like for the scorpion, it's like symbolism too. It's like, what does that mean to me? And it becomes kind of
Nice.
like my necklace. It's kind of like a
I know.
source.
I love that. I love that. I am so enjoying your tarot images.
Yeah. Oh, the ones that I drew?
Yeah.
Oh, the nightshade ones. I want to do a whole deck on
I
the
know.
nightshade
You need to do
plants.
that. You need to do that.
I got the love card done. I got
Okay. I'm first in line.
Yeah, that is definitely something I want to do. I mean, those were huge. I actually did those when I was I was going to college, community college for graphic design. And I had an art class and we were supposed to do like 4 pieces that were on like 18 by 24. So those are huge.
Wow. Okay, they're big.
I'll show you them sometime afterwards.
Okay.
They're huge. And so it kind of takes me a long time, but when I do those, they are absolutely gorgeous. I can also, what I can do is send you prints of them if you want. Like you could frame it or whatever.
Okay.
that love card that I did.
That's beautiful. Really beautiful.
So much color in that. I do pen and ink and colored pencil.
Wow.
And art is like a very healing type of force too. That focus that you put into it.
Yes.
I guess kind of like that flow that you get into when you're writing and you're on point. And it's that directing, that being the creator, being a creator.
It's being in that creator zone.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So, we got to know each other. We're on the One Great Work. It was just, and it was weird. It was like one of those serendipitous things. I was like, hey, I was just kind of like, I'm going to interview that person next. And I was like, I reached out to you. Did I reach out to you or something?
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You emailed me, and it's funny because I'd gotten like after the upload, I'd gotten barraged. And it's funny because when Mark said, oh, really think about, do you really want your email on there? And I'm thinking, yeah, nobody ever emails me there. Oh,
yeah, I took mine off too.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna like take it off. But the upshot of it, the advantage is you.
Well, actually, I think I got your email from your website. When I went to your website, I don't know where I got it. But
it was probably on the One Great Work Network. Is it? Yeah.
Oh, yes, it was. It was.
Yeah.
That's where I got it. And and I'm just like, it was one of those random things because I interview very diverse people. That's the kind of thing I do. Like, one interview I did with the bassist of Mayhem, the band Mayhem. Next person I did was this art director or art consultant, Maria Brophy. And then I did this Professor Rick Spence. He wrote a lot of books. But it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like, it just happens. It's just like, okay, this person's next. and I go with it. I kind of let that flow direct me. And I was like, I'm going to interview her next, or at least try. So I reached out to you and it's like, let's set up an interview because I needed to get some more content out anyway. And I was just way too wrapped up on my book, but I was like, I think I should try to get some interviews into, the picture again. And
cool.
That was really cool that I reached out to you and we started talking.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I'm glad you did. And so my flow, my intentions are getting getting more and more and more and more realized and actualized in ways that are quantum jump elevated, where the interviews that I have been doing and the connections that I have been making with people, I'd have to say in like since like May of last year,
right,
have been exemplary. In other words, not one flake, not one troll. Well, actually, there was a sort of semi-troll situation from the One Great Work Network, but he's not a troll. It's just not a match.
Yeah,
it wasn't a match.
Right.
One of my things is that if you don't do the great work, or you think the great work is limited to exposing all the shitstones, and you get fucking stuck there.
It's much more than that. Yeah,
it's so much more than that. And then if you're sitting in an armchair and you're not living a life, and you're not getting out, you've never raised children, you've never undergone like whatever,
it's like you get some people get kind of just arrogant thinking they know everything and they expose this and that and they know everything, and then it's kind of like the last laughs on them in a way sometimes, where some things turn out to be different. And
and he wanted to go. He was talking about wanting to like do his presentations more in an unorganized fashion. Now, I have taught hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of seminars and classes online since 2003. And so I'm hella focused. I mean, I talk a lot. I'm hella focused. I'm very organized in my head, and I have a lot of life experiences, and I'm not saying that because I'm older. I know it's not about that. It's about being able to disseminate the information and being able to go deep. Like you
Right.
and I, we're talking about really deep stuff. We're not
Absolutely.
surface skimming.
Right.
You know, we're not doing that.
We're like pulling from the earth,
Yes.
some of, but not even a physical. It's like the earth, both realms, the
Yes.
higher and lower, and we're just kind of
Yes.
like putting it together. And it's
Absolutely.
it's almost like without words. A lot of things that are happening right now, it's like some word, you know it in your head, but it's like there are no words for it.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And it just wasn't, you know, we did two calls, and I wanted to give him a chance, you know,
Right.
and it's so funny. I got overwhelmed with so many emails going, Marja, what the fuck? Like, why did you even bother with this person? And it's
Right.
like, it's not for me to judge. You know, I actually like him very much, but it's not a match for
Yeah.
me.
And that happens.
And it's like, you know, I gave it two times, and each time he was just more being adversarial. Everything I had to say, he just was like right back to the point of I think one thing in particular was talking about trauma, and talking to somebody like me.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, dude, you don't want to take me there. And I remember at one point I thought to myself, I'll fucking wreck your shit right now. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be a lady, and I'm going to be dignified. I don't need to do that to this person, because clearly it was just outmatched. And, you know, so it didn't go anywhere, you know, but the arguing that he wanted to do, like use me as a focal point so we can, you know, kind of do this action.
The ping pong ball.
Yeah, it's like I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, but you know, for me and you, it was very natural. It was just like,
yes,
it was like two people that were very much on the same page, and it was like, you know, nature does that. Lines the right
nature will
people
do
up.
that.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Marja, that's who I'm going to interview.
It's very harmonizing.
Yeah,
and so
harmonious.
When you mentioned your scorpion and you know your plants, I'm like going, oh my god, it's like me and my guy Chris talking about Jean-Luc Ponty and all this and Frank Zappa. I mean, he's like, he's like talking about Frank Zappa and singing these songs, and you know, my favorite Frank Zappa song, Gregory Peccary. You know, I mean, it's so good. It's like so good, and you know.
So when I started talking to you about, and you were like telling me when you told me about those that chef who does the Baneful Plants thing.
Yes.
I'm just like, and then you were telling me that you grow those plants too. I'm like, I almost like stepped out of myself, and I'm like, did that just happen? You know?
Yes, it did. It's awesome.
But it's like too, like you look at my website, right? It's like I do talk about a lot of the stuff that's going on, but I also go into things that are very, you know, very like part of that natural system. It's not just about exposing things like this. Yes, we kind of have to get to know what's really going on, but there's also all these other elements that need to be, you know, kept in check as well.
Yes.
Like like I tell people, I say, don't go get lost in that. I call it the outer work, all that research that gets to know the world without doing that inner work. I said, that is key, because a lot of people just kind of want to go down the, you know, rabbit hole, so to speak, and they just get lost in it.
They get lost in
it. And there's a shitload of disinformation as well. So
it's there is.
And
yes, there is.
I kind of tell people, look, this is your foundation, that inner work. And if you go to my site, I have all sorts of videos on doing the inner work. It's like, that is key. Because and I learned from experience too. I got all wrapped up in all that stuff, but I caught myself, and I realized, I said, hey, you know, that is it's like an ocean. And if you aren't careful, you can it's like it just pulls you in, and
it pulls you in. There's an undertow, so you can get overwhelmed by the undertow, or you could be a cork and just sit there and bob superficially the rest of your fucking life and not do
a bobo thing.
Yeah.
Oh, so,
I know for myself, because when when all my shit got taken out in 2015, I had to rethink stuff. I was literally in the fetal position for about 9 months. So, in fact, my first outing was Free Your Mind 2016.
Oh yeah.
And that was my first outing out of the cocoon after the shit show of 2015, where everything was gone. So I had to rethink things. And one of the things that I realized that I needed to do, and I know better, I knew better, is to stop pushing up against the shit stum and the shit I don't like. Just stop it. Because part of your success is going to be honoring the law of allowing. And even the Satanists deserve to be here just as much as you do. You might not like him, but your whole point in waking up is to own your attention. So you're not focused on the shit you don't like, but
own
you're
your
focused
shit, basically.
on you. You're focused on your great work and making a contribution to repopulate the true quantum field creative universe. And that's when I realized I'm going to keep doing my work. I'm not going to be adversarial. I am going to focus in on reality creation and teaching people, mentoring people how to wake the fuck up.
Yeah. And kind of add to that. Yeah,
add
to that, trying to ease
screen and mold reality.
Right.
Because if you don't know how to mold reality and wield it,
be a creator,
manipulate reality and energy, not manipulating people. There's a big difference.
Big difference, right.
But if you don't know how to do that, you're missing the whole point of being alive.
You're right.
In my opinion.
Definitely. And I and it's like adding, like doing my artwork and adding that to it. That's like that's something that inspires people.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it, is like being inspirational to people, because that really is the way to help people, is like you inspire them. You can't make them do anything, but if you inspire them.
It's by example. It's like, look, I've done a lot. Like I tell people, I have fucked up so many times.
Me too.
I probably will continue to fuck up in certain ways. And guess what? I'm still here.
Yeah.
And I'm not dead. I'm not giving up. And I think my big mantra is like, I'm not going down. I'm not going down.
Yeah, and
it's upward. It's this buoyancy.
Yeah.
That I think is really important. And it's that heart, mind, body, soul coordination. It's tuning into the plants.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of like interjecting here. I'm sorry, but there's something that just kind of popped up. Is my plants, when I think about it, is like the poison path, call it, right? Things that you run into, those hardships that you run into, how to shape them and get through them. And that to me is what poison path is kind of about.
Yes.
And they're like a inspiration. Like I know that those truffles, that site is kind of that's along the same lines of the poison path
totally
thing. And it's like, shaping that poison into medicine, I guess you could say.
Yes.
It's like the alchemy.
Absolutely. Seeking the advantage, the benefit, the medicine, the what are you inheriting from that? And what is it that you need to like cut loose? What needs to be purged?
That is great. And I guess I don't know, we kind of covered it all. I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, wow.
How fun.
We were able to show people. It's like without words. That's why I'm kind of like at a loss for words,
Yeah. And sometimes, just the power of just being in the presence of a soul brother, soul sister, soulmate, if you believe in that sort of thing, or just the resonance. And because it's all energetic. And I know that I come from this place where, having learned a lot of languages, like I had to learn English when I was young.
That's interesting. So what was your original language?
It was a trip. So I had a conglomeration of a Filipino dialect, German, and Spanish. Like I thought that was one language. So I got made fun of a lot when I was in school because I would say the stuff and people were like, the fuck is she saying? Oh my God, what are you, stupid or something? So in learning English, I've learned like I tend to over enunciate. Like I noticed that about myself. You know, it's like I say that, but you know, I try little, I'm trying to like soften the shit, you know. It's a mystery to me. So my hat's off to people trying to learn English because it's not the easiest language.
My friend from the Mauritius, I tell him, and sometimes I have to explain him things like, I don't know why this is the right way to say it because it doesn't really, it's not like, you know, structured on something that really makes much sense. But this is just how we say it, you know. And I like doing that for him. It's like, that's also part of the great work for me.
Yeah, that's
to me, it's
sweet.
Like just helping somebody who, you know, if they have a question about English, I don't expect any money for that or anything. Like, I'm just going to help you. I don't know. That's just the way I am.
Exactly. You know? And that's the whole thing. That's part of the magic to me is the gifting giving.
Yes.
And that's the divine masculine principle. It's what I call our seventh sense in the true sensual sensorial universe of the quantum field universe. Instead of 5 sense limited matrix system reality, we've got 7 senses.
Right.
Third eye being the 6th sense, and our 7th sense, and Mark Pastor's talked about this, is our generosity and care. It's
care.
2 parts. The masculine principle of gifting, giving, and the feminine principle of receiving.
And not basing care on money, where it's like sometimes, you know, care is, it doesn't need the money to be there. You know, it's like
it's empathy, it's compassion,
right?
It's joining the heart with action.
And we're kind of leading by example. We are among those that are doing that great work, you know, and we're structuring, we're changing the reality. We're not sitting there just trying to focus on the best. We're actively changing things.
Yes.
You know?
and that's really important to me.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of people, I mean, we live in this me matrix system reality world. Look what I'm doing, blah, blah. I mean, just on and on and on and on and on. And I just, most places roll my eyes to it because it's such a painful path, because it's the path of the ego. And of course, in the matrix, it's never enough. There's always somebody that's going to one up your ass like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Always. So, you know, it's not a pleasant thing. And I'm into like wanting at this stage of my life, I want to enjoy my life.
Sometimes too, it's like you gotta, things get down and dirty and things get ugly, and it's like dealing with that, facing things about yourself that you need to change, kind of being critical to yourself, you know, like, look, you know, to yourself, you know, it's like, look, you've got to, you know, work on this or that. And I get it. A lot of people don't want to do that. And
yeah, they don't. They don't want to do that.
That is probably the most paramount part of doing great work, because it's like you have to keep yourself together and be, you have to lead by example. So you have to get your shit together.
You do.
You got to get your shit together.
That was a turning point for me too, is realizing, you know, the way I was raised, my mom had like quite a number of faces. So I have always like really focused in on being aligned. That is, the way I am in person is the way I am here. The way I am in private, I don't falter. So I don't have, like, my persona is my persona. I have a potty mouth. I've got a potty mouth no matter what.
Me too.
So, you know, and I like my potty mouth, you know. So when people tell me, well, you'd probably be able to reach more people if you just kind of tone it down and say it like this, that would be lying. That would be lying to me.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Mark does his thing, and I think that's totally, you know, I think that's effective actually, what he does when he gets mad and stuff, you know. And I think,
well, I know his pain. I know his pain.
But you're being real, you know. It's like you're being real, this is just this is how it is. And sometimes you gotta be, and I do the same thing. I get kind of pissed off sometimes and say things or whatever, but it's just part of the journey. And
it totally is. And so to just like, I tell people straight up, I'm snarky. I'm snarky. I'm a smart ass.
Yeah.
And I'm
all right. and so your book, we're gonna probably wrap this up.
Okay.
And, your book, F's Wide Open, is that available? Can I put a link somewhere?
Yeah. So there's 2 versions of it, and they're both on Amazon, or you can email me if you want an autographed copy, or
that's what I want from you.
Okay, all right, you got it.
I want an autographed copy.
Here's the other thing is that I just found a whole bunch of these free downloads for the ebook of the first edition. So if anybody wants one, just have to email me, and I'll either snapshot it or email the thing to you, and you can just plug it in, because I believe it's still good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I found a whole shitload of them. I'm like, what? Wow.
Yeah, and you can hang out for a minute after this interview. I'm just gonna wrap this up. But
okay.
All right, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed Marja West, and I'm gonna leave some links for her website, for her book, this and that. And thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Say